was thinking I should go get my notes, but
If you want.
I'll wing it.
Okay.
Okay, and then you can always do it again if I screw it up, right?
Sure, that's right.
If I say the F word or anything.
We like color, so.
I did get a little loosey with one day. You ready?
Yep.
Go ahead.
Yep,
Okay.
go.
Okay, my name is Jim Hulings. I'm the chairman of the Butler County Republican Committee. This is my 34th day on the job. On July 3rd, I got an email saying that Donald Trump was coming back to Butler County for his second visit. His first visit was in 2020. We only got 57,000 people at that rally.
And that was at the same location?
Right. Well, basically very close to the same location. Not exactly. And so I knew a little bit about what security should look like and what to expect. The day they sent me the first notice on the 3rd, they told me that it was confidential. Within 2 hours, it wasn't confidential anymore. The word spread. And we were so happy that he was going to come back to see us. And we had 10 days to plan this.
You have a text message.
I should have shut that off. Can you stop it? So everybody had 10 whole days to plan this. One of those days was the 4th of July, and write that one off, because everybody had something to do on the 4th of July. So we didn't really get a lot of chance to do anything, but we did round up volunteers, and we rounded up over 100 volunteers. It wasn't my group that did that. It was another group called the United Republicans. They had a head start because we were kind of the new kids on the block. POGOP told us pretty much work with them, and we did everything we could to help them out by sending them volunteers. And I answered a lot of questions on the phone. I spent 4 days on the phone. It's never stopped ringing. People are asking questions, and somehow they were finding my name and my email address. So the night before, we went up with some volunteers and we did some setup. I went up just to help out and to learn what they were going to learn. I wanted to know what was going on since I might be asked a question. And a lot of people were asking questions about ADA, how do you get it? Where's the parking going to be? Well, this is a fairly large area, and there was a lot of walking involved. And they walked us all over and showed us everything, and then we stayed and helped till dark, finished putting up some of the security stuff for the people to walk through. And when I looked at that, I thought, what are they doing? This will hold like 10,000 people. Just this little security area. But we knew it was going to be big. They picked a tough place to put it. It was called the Farm Show Grounds. It was on Route 68. You came down 68, and it was under construction. The place they were going to have it, we just found out why they didn't have it at the old place, the other airport, was there was a car show there that day, so they couldn't schedule it there. So this venue wasn't something that everybody was familiar with from the security people. I'm sure they checked it out as best they could. There's a lot of little buildings around. There's a lot of small buildings, little sheds that people store equipment in and things like that. There was a pretty good fence around most of it. The important thing was there wasn't enough parking. There was only parking for 7,000 cars. And I was figuring 25 to 30,000 people, it was going to be mayhem. We got there at 11 o'clock next morning. Gates were opening at 1. We got in line at 12. We had our VIP passes. They gave us wristbands. Red ones for people with expedited tickets. Green ones for VIPs, which I happened to be lucky enough to get one of those, and my friend. And the other people, the general admission people, went into a different area. But when they opened up at 1 o'clock, they let the general admission people go. But we had to go through the checkpoint. We had to go through the magnetometers, I think they call it. And we had to be searched, and we had to turn over anything that we had that was considered not on the list. Don't bring this list. Things like umbrellas and chairs and big bags, liquids. These other people, they just let them in. Well, those people weren't dumb. They went down and found our seats, and that's where they with this, and the ushers had a tough time keeping them away. By the time we got through our checkpoint, which, you know, it's like going through at the airport, boom, boom, boom. By the time we got down there was hardly any chairs left for us, but we did get some chairs, so we were okay.
So just to be clear about this, so you had VIP expedited entry,
Yes,
and you got there later than general admission folks.
yeah, they let them through. They let us all through at the same time, but the general admission area, the gate was this big, and I don't think there was any security there. Our gate was a tunnel through the metal detector being searched. So we were going through one at a time. They were going through like 30 or 40 at a time. And they weren't running. They just walked on down and sat in the places. And I'm thinking, that doesn't seem very secure to me, because they never checked those people. Not,
When you say they didn't check them, they didn't go through any sort of metal detection?
not that I could see.
And
As
the
fast as
speed, yeah, the speed they were going through.
They were just walking just like you were walking down the street. So I thought that was bizarre. So when we got down there and we grabbed our chairs, and they became very precious. You didn't leave it unless you had a friend guard it for you. We started talking about where's the counter snipers? We're all looking around, and we don't see any snipers. Those are the guys that shoot out, not in. Our guys, the good guys. We don't see any. Well, here there was a sniper on the roof, which I found out later, right to my left. That's the guy that shot the shooter. But we couldn't see him from where we were sitting. And there was only one team that we could see. There might have been more teams, but they only ever talked about this one team. By 2 o'clock, I'd gone up to get something to eat. The lines were at least an hour wait in line to get something to eat. They didn't have enough porta potties. People were waiting in line. Anything you wanted to do, you had to wait in line for. They were passing out water to everybody. They had I think they said 45,000 bottles of water. And they were just giving them out like candy for free. And still, people, it was so hot. And there was no wind, and there wasn't a cloud in the sky. And it was so hot. And people were just dropping like flies. Well, they had 4 ambulances up there. I just talked to somebody who knew one of the EMTs. They said they brought in EMTs from other places, and they still didn't have enough. It was four ambulances wasn't enough. 4 sets of EMTs wasn't enough. And I saw many people just down. And some of it was pretty serious. They were giving them IVs. I mean, it wasn't like just throw some cold water on them and they'll be better. They were giving them IVs and things. So that was kind of sad. There was only one shade tree in the whole place. And you had to buy space there. It was like, there wasn't a square inch, didn't have a person on it. So Donald Trump was notoriously late. So we all took a bet, like the Price is Right, the highest without going over. I had 1 hour late. I missed it by 5 minutes. He was a little more than an hour late. And that's okay, because he's Donald Trump. He was worth the wait. And we were excited, and they put on a good show. We had good speakers. The girl that did the national anthem was, I got an email one day, and this lady said, can my daughter sing the national anthem? And she sent me some information and some pictures of her doing it. Other played, I'm like, yeah, bring her on down. She did a fabulous job. And that's a hard song. The speakers were great. The music was great. The crowd was excited. And Donald Trump walks in. He comes up this ramp, and he looked tired. It was late in the day. I knew he had some other events. So he looked a little tired, and he walks in, and he's waving to the crowd, looking towards us mainly. And then he turns around and he looks, and he sees the people. I mean, they were everywhere. They were everywhere. Every seat was taken, every patch of grass. Thousands and thousands of people. And they were just all standing up. I mean, Donald Trump's here. And he got up and he started speaking. And he's a real great speaker, and we're all real excited. And nobody was sitting down. I sat down because I was kind of tired. So I sat down, but I could still see him perfectly clear. And he's talking about immigration and how we're getting overwhelmed. And he had these charts. He said, put up the charts. And he goes to, I can't think of that guy's name, Dave McCormick. He goes, come on up on the stage, Dave. And he goes, no, never mind. Just let me get through this and then you can come up. Something like that. I paraphrased it. And he starts talking and he's looking at this chart. And just as he turned his head, there, pop, 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 three shots going. I swore it came from the stands over to my left. I'm like, how did anybody get a gun in here? And how would you pull out a gun and start shooting from there? I mean, Butler County people, they would have wrestled him to the ground, and he would have been getting a ride in an ambulance. So Donald grabbed his ear and down he went. And all my friends that I was looking that way, they were looking at him and they said, I think they shot him in the head. And the crowd just went silent. And it was very sad. I mean, they just killed our president in the place he's probably loved the most. I mean, this is a very, very red county. Then they picked him up and he raised his fist. And the crowd cheered. Like, I never heard a cheer like that. And the crowd cheered. And they tried to protect him. And I heard later that he said he wanted to keep speaking. Even though he knew he was shot. He wanted to keep speaking. He didn't want to leave the stage. But there was a lot of them and they just hustled him off. The shots, this all happened in 4 seconds. It was pop, pop, pop. There's 5 other shots, they said. I only heard the 3. I thought it happened over here, but that was the snipers taking this guy out. So from the time I looked from here to here, it was over. Now, if you want some backstory, I'll tell you. That kid came in from Bethel, that's south of Pittsburgh, came up here, got up on that roof, got up a ladder with a gun, got on the roof 143 yards away, and any kid out of high school could have made that shot with an AR-15 with a scope on it. I mean, it was an easy shot. They could put a bullet in a circle that big. So Donald Trump was very lucky that he turned his head just at the right time, or he would have got the shot. And then in the gunfire, the people that were killed the guy that was killed was below Donald Trump, I believe. And the other people that were shot were in various places around. So the incoming fire from the FBI guys or whoever, Secret Service guys, must have kept this guy from killing more people. They think he got off 5 to 8 shots. That's pretty easy to get off in a few seconds. So the backstory is that a guy, and I saw this on the news, BBC did a news story, and they had cameras there, and there was this guy with a red beard, and we believe he worked at Brinkles, there's a little store right nearby there. And he had walked over, and he was pointing up there and screaming that there's a shooter up there, there's somebody up there with a gun. And tonight on the news, they just showed that some people actually took a picture of this guy and were calling the police and telling them that there's a shooter on the roof. So this policeman went up the ladder and the kid turned a gun around on him and they said the guy leaned back or whatever and fell off the ladder. And then he turned around and started shooting. So that's a little backstory. The crowd, when Donald Trump got up, gave that cheer, and then they started chanting USA, USA. Probably the happiest moment of my life. I went from down here to up here. I was so thankful to God that they didn't kill our president and that he could walk away. And it was just sad that it happened in Butler County, the county we love. We cling to our guns and our Bibles. We're conservative Christians. The next day in church, the churches were filled. We went up, tried to go up to the site after to show my wife because she wasn't there. She had back surgery and she couldn't walk very far, so we didn't go there. But I drove her up. I said, "We'll take a look around the site." Well, they blocked the road off totally. You couldn't even get near up 68 was totally blocked off. So I rode her back through the back roads and took a look. It's sad that it happened in our county, or any county, but the poor gentleman that was shot was a hero. He was protecting his family. And a lot of people covered up their families. I mean, they got their friends down, their people down. One of my friends was at the end of the row. The people were crying. They were praying. We did not run. They made us leave. We stayed there. So
Did you know any of the victims?
no, I didn't. But my one good friend was at the end of the row, and she passed out, and they had to bring in EMTs, but they wouldn't let us stay with her. When EMTs arrived, then I finally said, "Okay, I'll go," but I wasn't going until then. And they took care of her. She was okay. There was a lot of people that were passing out, not because of the shooting, but because of the heat. You sit in the sun for 8 hours, if you're not in any kind of shape, it's going to be pretty hard on you.
At any point, could you see the shooter?
No, he was in a building back behind us, and he was elevated, and they pretty much took care of him. He wasn't a sight to see at that point.
Great. Anything else you want to add?
I just want to thank the people that worked so hard to make it a great event. It would have been a tremendous event. I wish it all went better. There was a lot of hard work went into that. The volunteers, the Republicans of Butler County, the people that came in, the crowds that stood there in line, sat for endless hours. I was there till 10 o'clock that night till I got out of the parking lot. But there was never once, all day, saw one person do anything ignorant to another person. Not all day. That's amazing. You can't even go to the store without finding somebody doing something. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.